one more thing we are going to do in this class. On this section 3.1, an introduction to problem solving. Okay, we are going to do some apps. We said in this class, we learned three things. First was solving linear equations, right? Second thing was graphing linear equations and inequalities, right? Third thing was polynomials. Then we see how we are going to apply them a little bit. So for problem solving, mainly is talking about what? Word problems, right? So when you have a bunch of words in English, what do we need to do? Okay, so we have to change to math language from English to math. Then try to resolve it. So first, if you know a word problem, so first thing you need to do what? Find out what the problem was, right? What it was asking about. So you need to understand the problem so you can answer, right? Then how do we understand the problem? So we need to figure out, okay, what it's telling us, what kind of information is given, right? Then we have to figure out what is the question so we can answer it, right? Then at the same time, we try to visualize it. So if you can draw a picture, you do that, right? You draw a picture if possible, so we can visualize it, if that helps. Okay, also we want to solve the problem, and usually you have something you don't know, a number, right? Many math problems is all for what? Finding the numbers. So for the numbers we don't know, we try to find it. We use what? Use the variable for the unknown, right? So we say use x. X is a variable because it varies. Then we also say it's unknown and we find it. So become what? From unknown to known, right? That means you find it. That's how we gain our knowledge, from something we don't know and to find it, then so we know. Then that's how we do it. Understand the problem, see what's going on, then use a variable to find it. Then once we write it, we have a variable, then what? We will write an equation, right? For the problem. Do you think that's a reasonable approach? That's how we reason things and figure out, right? Then once we write the equation, we can solve it. Then after we solve it, we better check the result, whether or not it fits, right? So mainly we break down the thinking process for you. So once you follow this, you should be able to find the answer, right? Okay, let's translate some problems from English to math, from English language to math language. So what is a math language? We talk about. Right? Math language is what? It's algebraic expression or equations. Right? Take a look the next one. So let's practice some numbers to start with. Okay, here says 3 times a number subtracted from 2 equals twice the number added to 27. So, bunch of English, right? Then how do we translate to algebraic expressions or equations? So what does equals mean? So that's how we do, okay? Then let's do this way. First, okay, you identify things needed. Just with one variable. You don't know how to resolve it with 2 variables, right? Then first you identify things you needed using a variable for the unknown. Then you write your equations. Then you solve it. Solve the equation, right? So that's the idea. Then take a look. Identify things needed with one variable. So we want to find a number, right? So we call it what? N or X, either way. Then you write your equation. How do you write your equation? You translate the English to math, right? What does equals mean? Must be what? Equal sign, right? Then it says 3 times a number. So number is N, so your 3 times a number, 3N, right? It says subtract from 2. What do you think? 3N minus 2 or 2 minus 3N? Right? So subtract from, that's English. Then for math would be 2 minus 3N, right? Then equals 2, right? Twice the number. So what is your twice the number? 2 times the number, 2N, right? Add to 27, you just add it. Is that right? So first we identify the things we needed with one variable. Then second step, you write your equation. Then can you solve it? What kind of equations we have? Linear, right? One variable with one power, invisible one. So, can you find your N? Yes, right? So your minus 2N, just you use your golden rule. You do one side, you do another side. Right? So what do we have? We have those go away. Then 2 minus 5N equals what? 27. Then use your what? Solving skills for linear equation, right? Then is what? First, we identify. Second, we write the equations. Then third, we solve it, right? So, solve it. Then that will be 25. Then you divide by -5. What is your N? Your N will be -5 divided by -5, right? So that would be your number. Got idea? Okay, so when you're stuck, what should you try? Follow the steps, right? This is the concept. Then you read and reread the question. Okay, draw a picture if possible to visualize it. Then we use the variable to identify, right? Then write the equation, then solve the equation. Then we check, right? Second one, it says 3 times the difference of number and 5 is the same as twice the number decreased by 3. Find the number. So we need to find how many numbers? 1, right? So we make n is a number we need to find, right? Then second one, we will write the equation. How do we do that? You must have something in English word and which is equivalent to the equal, right? So previously it says equals. Then here say the same as. Is that same as means equal, equivalent, right? So it says 3 times the difference of number and 5. So the difference of number and 5 is one thing, then 3 times is another thing. So you do 3 times first or the difference of number and 5 first. According to English, you should do what? The difference of a number and 5, right? Because 3 times is after that. So the difference between number and 5, the difference means what? You subtract it. Then 3 times, you just multiply by 3, right? It's the same as what? Twice the number decreased by 3. So you do what? Which one first? Decrease the first or twice first? According to English, it means what? Twice the number first, then decreased by 3, right? So 2n twice the number decreased by 3, right? Do we have an equation now? What kind of equations is? Linear equation, right? Then can we solve it? Yes. That was the first thing we learned in this class. Then how should we start? Draw the line. Distribute them, right? Right? Then we move a number to one side. Then move the variable to one side. So here 3n equals what? 2n plus 12, right? Then we move the n to another side. Minus 2n, what do we have? N equals 12. So then we check, right? That's how you find the answers. Manageable, right? Next one. An 18-foot ball is taking away way too much room in the garage and annoying Mark, who wants to park his car in the garage. He decides to cut the board so the longer piece is 5 times longer than the shorter piece. It will leave one of the pieces pretty long, but he can now park his car in the garage. Find the length of the 2 pieces he gets after cutting the board. So it's a bunch of words. Then we slow down to look at the question. Okay, what kind of question is that? What is the question? Question is what? Find the length of 2 pieces he gets after cutting the board, right? And what kind of information is given, right? So we kind of figure out then what's the question, what kind of information is given. So at the same time, I say, okay, how about I draw a picture, right? He has a bigger pieces of board. Then he want to cut it to 2 pieces. Then, right, cut it to 2 pieces, cut somewhere. Then one is long, one is short. And also it tells us what total is 18 foot, right? At the same time, he want to leave one part is as long as possible, but as 5 times of the shorter piece. That's what he wants, okay? So we did the picture, then first step, identify things needed with 1 variable. How many things we need? We have 2 pieces we need, but we can only use 1 variable. You don't use x and y, okay? So we say, okay, I have 2 pieces. So I say, okay, the shorter piece will be what? Things I don't know, I use x. How's that? Right? So 2 things needed. 2 things needed. We need to identify them both, right? I only identify 1. How about another piece? How I'm going to identify that? So if I identify shorter piece is x, then longer piece will be what? Any idea? You say 5 times longer, right? One is x, another one will be what? 5x. So did I identify 2 things needed with 1 variable? One is x, one is 5x, right? Then you write your equation. Second one, you must have something are equivalent. Look at the question again, see how you can figure out. So 1 piece is x, 1 piece is 5x. Total is how long? 18 foot, right? So x plus total is 18 feet, right? So we write our equation, then can we solve it? So 18 divided by 6, so what's your x? X is 3, right? But you have to answer the question. Find the length of 2 pieces he gets after the cutting. So 1 piece is what? 3 feet. Another one is bigger one, 5 times that much. So another one is what? 15 feet. So that's your answer. If you want to check, how do you check? Oh, it says total is 18 feet. So you add them up, you find out, yes, it is. Right? So we can figure out this way. As long as we follow the thinking and process, we should be able to find the answer. Right? Next example on the page 50. It says, through the year 2010, the state of California will have 21 more electoral votes for president than the state of Texas, right? If the total votes for the 2 states is 89, find the number of votes for each state, right? So, what was the question? Find the number of electoral votes for each state. So, how many states we need? We have what? California and Texas, right? So, first step, we are going to identify things we needed with 1 variable, 2 things needed. But we can only use what? 1 variable. Which one you want to use as x? right? So how about, say, California? So California is X, but you cannot use Y for Texas. You should find out on the question, right? California will have 21 more electoral votes than Texas. If California is more, 21 more, Texas will be what? X minus 21, right? So first we identify them. Then next one, we need to write the equation. Something must be equal. So we have another number we haven't used, which is 89, right? It says the total electoral votes for both. So one, California is this, Texas is this, right? Total means what? Addition. So you add them together, should be how many? 89, right? Then do we have an equation? Yes, linear equation. Can we solve it? Yes. Okay, so you solve your linear equation. 2x minus 21 equals 89, right? Then you add 21 on both sides. 2x would be what? 110, right? Then the x would be divided by 2, x is 55. 55 of what? Dollars, inches, feet? You have to make it clear what you are doing, right? X is for California of what? Electoral votes. So that will be votes for what? California, right? Also, what was the question? Find both for each state. So we also need to find for California, how many? Find the Texas. How many for Texas? Texas is what? 21 less. So you do 55 minus 21. That would be what? 34. Right? So that would be 34 votes for Texas. That would be your answer. Right? Manageable. For next one, we are going to skip it. Okay. We will talk about those geometry things later. All right. So for next 3 questions, that will be on your final as well. You need to practice those. Okay? So, you need to get used to certain terminologies. So, for the first one, it says represent each group of the numbers using only one variable. That's how we practice. Just use one variable to solve problem. So for the first one, consecutive integers. What does consecutive mean? It means one after the other, right? So if I have one, say, let's do 10, next number will be what? 11, next number will be what? 12, one more, continues, right? What happened to negative? Integers means what? Positive and negative and the whole number and 0, right? So if it's a negative 10, what do you think the next number will be? Negative 9, not a negative 11, right? One more bigger on the right-hand side of the number line. That's called what? Consecutive integer. Then, how about consecutive even integer? So if first one is 10, next one will be what? Even, 12 and 14, right? So you add up what? By 2 each time. Is that right? If you start from -10, what do you think? Next number would be 2 more. Would be what? -8 and -6, right? So that's consecutive even numbers, even integers, right? So those are for even. And how about odd numbers? So for regular consecutive number, you add 1. Then even number, you add what? 2, right? How about odd number? Odd number, if we say started from 11, next number will be what? 13, right? 15. They are odd numbers. But when you add them, next number will be how many units bigger? 2. Is that right? You added the 2. 2 is an even number, but when you are adding, the results are all odd numbers, right? Even odd number, you need to add 2 to get the next odd number. So if you have -11, what do you think the next number would be? Next 9, next 7, right? When we solve the problems, we need to use a variable for the unknown, right? So we use x. So we want to learn for the consecutive integers, if I have 3 numbers I need, but I can only use 1 variable. So we always start from x. That would be easier. So first number is x. What do you think the next number would be consecutive integers? You add 1, right? Then you add 1 more, that would be x plus 2. That's how you identify them. Okay? For consecutive integers. How about consecutive even integers? We still, if we want 3 numbers, then first one we just make x. Easier, just make x. Okay? Don't use x plus 2 to start with. Just x. But next number will be what? 2 more. Next number will be 2 more again. So that would be x plus 4. Right? Then for 3 consecutive are integer. So we still want 3 numbers, right? First one is x. Next number, x plus 1, x plus 3. No, because next one will be 2 more than the first one. You need to add 2. 2 is an even number, but when you add to an odd number, it still ends up an odd number, right? And next one, 2 more, would be x plus 4. That would be the part you need to pay attention to. Otherwise, you don't do it right. Right? Next one. If we give you a question as such, find the 4 consecutive even integers whose sum is 188. So how many numbers we want? 4 numbers, right? So we need to identify things needed with 1 variable. So 4 numbers we need to identify. So first one, we just use x. Next one will be even integers. So you have to jump what? 2. So next one will be plus 2. Next one, 2 more. Next one, 2 more. Right? So first, we identify 4 things we needed just with 1 variable. Second one, we need to write an equation somewhere, right? It says, whose sum? What does sum mean? The total means add them together. So you need to add x plus what? X plus 2 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 6. Total is 188. So we write our equation, then we solve it. Right? So you simplify then 4x plus 12, right? Linear equation, then you do one side, you do another side to solve it, to isolate your x. That would be what? 176, right? Then get the x would be what? 44. Then you need to answer the question. What was the question? Find 4 numbers, consecutive even integers. So first one is 44. Next one will be what? 2 more. Next one will be 2 more. And next one, 2 more. So that's your 4 numbers. Then how do you know you are doing right? How about we just add them together? Right? So you add them together, you find out it's 188. That would be okay because it says what? Total is 188. Right? Next one, find the 4 consecutive odd integers whose sum is negative 184. Now it's a negative number. But how many numbers we need? 4 numbers. Then we identify them with one variable, right? To start with x. Consecutive odd integer. This is odd, but how about next number? 2 more, right? You need to jump 2. So next number is 2 more, next number is 2 more, next number is 2 more, right? Then second one, we will write our equation. That would be x plus 2, right? X plus 4, x plus 6 is what? Negative 184. So then we solve it, right? Same way as we solve this. That would be what? 4x plus 12 equals negative 184, right? Then we minus 12. Then we have what? 4x equals negative 196. Both are negative. You combine them with the same sign, right? Then you divide it by 4. What's your x? Divided by 4, 49. Negative, right? What was the question? 4 consecutive odd number. We need 4 numbers. So first one is what? Negative 49. Next one will be negative 47, not negative 51, right? Would be 2 more, negative 45, negative 43. So that will be your answer. If you add them together, you should get negative 184, right? Manageable. That's how you solve problems. You read the questions again to know the question first so you can answer it and see what kind of information you have. Then you identify with what? One variable for the things you needed. Doesn't matter 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. You just with one variable, x, to represent different numbers. Then you write your equation, then you solve it. Okay? So that would be our section 3.1.